closed.
Steady, boys!
can't believe I'm doing this.
More and more of these blood. Deleted every night.
Aye, but the guards recruiting more and more every year.
When did you join the guard? 2 days ago. This is my first patrol. Sorry, sir. No admittance. Oi! Didn't you hear me? It's closed.
Smells like rotten meat. One here, I know it.
It's locked, all right.
Stay close, keep an eye on each other.
This is no place for you, sir. Please open the door, sir. Go back home, idiot! Look at it! Vicious bugger!
It's locked. I cannot enter. It's locked. Whitechapel. This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow.
drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Stealing drugs. Sick and suffering.
Are you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. She's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything, it ain't me.
All right. Perhaps the poor drunk just confused you with someone else.
Sod off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Goodbye, young man.
I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Suffering. Someday you'll understand. You've wasted your life away.
Me? I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Science failed you. This elixir will give you faith again.
Bloody heart, boy. What?
Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy he just frayed me last nerve.
What is it, Benjamin? It was the war, wasn't it? Your nerves are shot, aren't they? I need some answers, Private. From one soldier to another.
The doctors called me a liar. A coward. Put me in a straitjacket, locked me up. Finally, they sent me back to the front lines with a handful of tablets.
Yes. Sounds like shell shock. I've seen a few cases like yours. This is nothing you should be ashamed of, Benjamin. And it's perfectly natural in your situation.
I'm not ashamed. I just need my pills. Peace and quiet, that's all.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. Now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills. But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. She's a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now. Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money.
If I could get some working, everything would be better.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial.
This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood. I cannot enter.
Has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough.
is despicable. Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
Right then. Show me what you have.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
What you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
So she's trying to help her fellow immigrants. Why would that make her a villain?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Part to pay, one way or another. You again? What do you want this time?
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You are a criminal who endorses criminal activity. The least you could do is stop hiding behind this pretense.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis. Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world? Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
It's locked, all right. So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
This place is awful, I agree. But does that not mean your situation can only improve?
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed. Or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
Perhaps I should look into it.
Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What an opportunity. My name's Bates. Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say, a live tenant's a paying tenant.
What is your business, exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
In other words, you take advantage of these poor lost souls.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
If I were entering into the world of street medicine, it would be on my terms and without such dubious associates as yourself, Mr. Bates.
So it's a no, then? That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, saved lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swanborough shit.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I'm looking for Dorothy Crane. She's a nurse. What can you tell me about her?
Dorothy Crane. Bless her soul. I really should thank her someday.
Tell me truthfully, why are you so thankful?
By keeping my tenants alive, she's making me a rich man. Every month they live, it's more coin in my pocket.
Has she treated you?
No. When I need a checkup, I'd go to a bloody doctor, not some back-alley clinic full of sick foreigners.
Goodbye, Mr. Bates. Mr. Bates.
Evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Bates.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be from Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nithercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me, just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
Maybe it's time to see if this
Come on, Baron, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Can't you just look the other way this week, Joe? Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. How long have we known each other? We even used to be neighbours, for Christ's sake.
I prefer not to give you another beating, Barrett.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
If no one stops it, this epidemic could turn into a scourge. It may kill more people than the war itself.
Yes, this is another kind of war, but just as deadly. History will judge us all for what we did and what we did not.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught during my investigation.
I will see you later. Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. Very well. Goodbye, then. It's locked, all right.
Away with you!